Orange Place? Why are you crying?
Because I'm afraid. I had to tell him I have a gun in the house. I'm just calling so that you guys know that if something happens, that I did it because I was trying to defend myself.
Vanished without a trace. An Army veteran and Orange County student has disappeared.
They are not considering Ramos a victim of a crime right now because they simply don't know what happened to her. But they are investigating this case as a missing persons case with suspicious circumstances.
After 8 years of service in the U.S. Army, 36-year-old Maribel Ramos was doing everything she could to return to a normal life. During her military career, she had been deployed to Iraq twice. To her family, Maribel was more than just a daughter or a sister. She was a role model, especially for her younger sister Lucy and Lucy's daughter, Giselle. From a young age, Maribel moved through life with a clear purpose. She always knew exactly what she wanted and never hesitated to chase it. Determined to the core, Maribel never backed down from what she set her sights on. That relentless drive had allowed her to build a remarkable career in the military. But after returning from her deployment in Iraq, something inside her shifted. She made a firm decision. She would not renew her contract. No longer bound to military life, Maribel felt an urgent pull towards something more personal. She wanted a family of her own. With surprising ease, she redirected her focus to a new chapter. That was when she made another decisive move. She enrolled in university. And just like that, Maribel Ramos began her new life in Orange County, California. Just a few weeks remained until graduation. She was about to receive her bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and this milestone wasn't just another checkbox on her list. Maribel wanted to finally start living. Everything in her life was lining up perfectly. A bright future was waiting for her. But everything changed on May 3rd, 2013.
Orange Police Dispatcher Rose.
I have a roommate. She's 36 years old, and she didn't come home last night.
Okay, did you want to make a missing person report? Is that what you're wanting to do?
Yeah. I left a cell phone message. She didn't call me back. No more she got to school today. No more she would have show up today.
Do you know if she was at school?
No, her car is there. I think she ran out last night. She didn't come home.
After losing her mother to a severe illness in 2009, Maribel entered one of the most difficult periods of her life. She could no longer afford rent on her own, so she decided to find a roommate. That's how she met Casey Joy, through a listing on a roommate website. They ended up living together for almost 2 years, and during that time, they grew close. Joy knew her entire family and even tutored her niece, Giselle, in math. So when he realized Maribel hadn't come home that night, he immediately contacted her sister, Lucy. At first, Lucy didn't think much of it. She assumed Maribel had urgent personal matters to take care of. Besides, if there was anyone capable of handling herself, it was her sister. But concerns started to build when Maribel didn't show up for the family's usual softball game, a tradition she never missed. Once the sheriff's department was informed, deputies were dispatched right away to the address where the missing woman lived. Her car was found parked near the house, but when officers knocked, no one answered. Neighbors were questioned but reported nothing unusual. From the outside, the house looked perfectly normal. No broken windows, no signs of forced entry. Still, something felt off. The officers decided to break down the front door and conduct a full search inside the house. At first glance, everything inside the house seemed untouched. There were no signs of a struggle, no drawers pulled open, nothing that suggested someone had been searching through belongings. But the moment Lucy stepped into her sister's bedroom, a chilling sense of dread washed over her. Even though no one was home, the light in the room was still on. The bed was unmade, and on top of it lay a pillow without a pillowcase. For someone as organized as Maribel, this was deeply out of character. Lucy later remarked that her sister would never leave the room in such disarray. A quick look through the closet confirmed another disturbing detail. All of Maribel's clothes were still there. It didn't look like she had packed for any kind of trip. Only her phone and wallet with her personal documents were missing. And considering her car was still parked in the driveway, the scene raised even more suspicion. It was enough for the patrol supervisor to make the decision to call in the homicide unit. Ramos had a rigorous military background, a fact that spoke volumes about her character. She was disciplined, focused, and not the type to simply disappear without a trace. Her unusual absence immediately set off alarm bells. Everyone feared she was in serious trouble. Just as investigators arrived at the house, the missing woman's neighbor, Casey Joy, unexpectedly appeared. He told them that the last time he had seen Maribel was on Thursday around 10 p.m. when he left the house for a walk. By the time he returned about an hour later, she was gone. His testimony proved invaluable. Knowing who last saw the missing person and when is always a critical piece of the puzzle in cases like this. Because Maribel lived in a relatively affluent neighborhood, her complex was equipped with surveillance cameras. Detectives immediately contacted the building manager to obtain copies of the footage. One camera monitored the main entrance to the parking lot, raising hopes that it might capture Maribel or Casey entering or leaving the property. But it turned out that the neighbors rarely used that entrance, instead parking right in front of the main doors on the street. In the end, that footage proved useless. Soon, investigators discovered another camera mounted above the manager's office, positioned to capture anyone approaching his door. When they reviewed the footage from Thursday, May 2nd, they saw Maribel Ramos around 8:30 p.m. walking toward the manager's office, carrying something that looked very much like an envelope, likely her rent payment. She was dressed in typical casual home attire, left the envelope, and walked away calmly. Nothing in the recording suggested that she was frightened or anxious. She was in no hurry and appeared completely relaxed. The footage was taken the day before her disappearance, and it showed Maribel completely fine and in order. While investigators sifted through all available video, the girl's family decided to do whatever they could to aid the search. They turned to social media, posting a photo of Maribel online and asking anyone with information about her whereabouts to come forward. At the same time, police were able to obtain data on the missing woman's cell phone. The records suggested it had either been turned off or damaged. The device was not connecting to any mobile towers. As detectives delved into Maribel's personal life, they discovered that she had recently been involved in a romantic relationship with a man named Paul Lopez. He was reportedly the last person to speak with her on the phone. Based on this information, the man was summoned to the station to answer several questions.
Thanks for coming down, man. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Hey, Paul, what's your last name?
Lopez.
How long have you been dating her?
It's been like maybe a few months. Like it's really like.
How'd you meet her?
Nothing's been like exclusive. It's just been, dating.
Okay.
Yeah.
You date other people too?
Me, yeah.
Okay. You don't know if she dates other people or not?
I don't ask, don't tell.
Right. That's fair.
Just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Paul behaved politely during questioning. He explained that he and Maribel had only just started seeing each other and hadn't yet grown close. He also confirmed that the last time he spoke with her was Thursday evening.
Did she tell you to come over or anything like that, or did you offer to go over there?
That night, no, I was working till midnight.
Where do you work?
The gas company. I was working the 4 to midnight shift.
But you didn't see her on Thursday at all?
That was at work.
Do you have any injuries on you at all that you've had from anything?
But his willingness to cooperate with police didn't rule him out as a potential threat to Maribel.
It's just as important for us to talk to you and free your name from any suspicion. And the way we do that is talking to you. And of course, looking at the phone records, you are the last person to have talked to her. And then she disappears. So that's like, kind of huge, really. And I want to make sure that we can definitely follow up on your alibi that you were at work.
Thanks to the GPS installed in Paul's truck, officers were able to track his movements that night with minute-by-minute precision. According to the data, he had been far from Maribel Ramos's home at the time of her disappearance. The focus then shifted to Maribel's neighbor, Casey Joy.
This roommate that she lives with, did she talk any further about him?
She's always talked about him.
In a frustrated way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She's always complained about him that he never has his rent on time. She what else was she telling me? Pretty much she was like letting me know like his whole life was just going.
Detectives discovered that while Paul was speaking with Maribel, she was simultaneously arguing with Casey.
He was there in the living room. I can hear him in the background, and she was pretty much telling me just she wants him out, that she told him that he's gotta be out tomorrow. I kind of get like a little tough, saying like, all right, well, just make sure that he knows that if he's not out by tomorrow, that If his stuff isn't out, then I'm going to get it and throw it out.
I gotcha.
So that was pretty much the end of the conversation.
Paul offered his help, saying he could come by if she needed, but Maribel declined, mentioning that she was about to go to bed. That was the last conversation she had with anyone. Given the evident tension between Maribel and her neighbor, investigators decided to focus their attention on Casey Joy. It turned out that his full name was Kwang Chol Joy. He had come to the United States from Korea as a teenager. There were no significant criminal records associated with him, and nothing in his past suggested any criminal behavior. A check of his social media revealed that he and Maribel had been quite close. They had vacationed together on a cruise to Alaska, and Maribel had invited him to all family celebrations. Casey had been present for many important moments in her life. Over time, however, it became clear that he had begun to see her as more than just a friend. At one point, Casey called Lucy and confessed that he was deeply in love with her sister and wanted to be the man Maribel would choose to start a family with. Everyone thought he was a good guy, but by all accounts, he did not meet the standards of the kind of person Maribel would seek out. Sometime after that conversation, Casey's behavior began to change drastically. He lost his job, stopped contributing to the rent, and tensions between the neighbors escalated. Their arguments grew more frequent, and one quarrel eventually ended with a call to 911.
Hi, Orange Police.
Why are you crying?
Because I'm afraid.
What's your name?
And my name is Maribel.
What's your last name, Maribel?
Ramos. Sorry,
What can we do to help you?
Is it recording?
Yes, every conversation is recorded.
Okay, well, I just want to let you know that I have a roommate that should be leaving at the end of the month, and I am concerned about him because we had a conversation today that he kind of freaked me out.
Okay. Has he ever tried to hurt you?
No, he just said, like, we'll see. Well, I'm just telling you right now that if something happens, I'm a veteran. I was in the military. I was in Iraq 2 terms, and I just fear the worst.
The conversation had been recorded about a week before Maribel Ramos disappeared. That a woman with military training could, for some reason, fear this person meant only one thing. There were serious grounds for concern.
I'm just scared.
What? Your roommate?
He's Korean. Well, he's an older gentleman, but we had a discussion tonight, and I had to tell him that I had a gun in the house, which I do not. I'm just calling so that you guys know that if something happens, I have some type of self-defense, that I did it because I was trying to defend myself. I have PTSD, so I'm always locking my door, but now I don't feel safe.
As is known, Maribel had participated in 2 combat deployments, and it was possible that she suffered from some lingering psychological effects as a result. To finally uncover what had truly happened between Maribel and Casey, investigators immediately summoned him for questioning.
So this is Casey. You call Casey? Hey, Casey, CJ. Everybody calls me Casey. My first name is Kwang. You ask somebody Kwang, nobody will know. Nobody will know who that is. All right, so. Hey, well, thank you for coming here. We really appreciate it.
He appeared friendly and cooperative, making conversation easy. At first glance, the officers couldn't fathom how someone like him could terrify her so profoundly.
As you know, right now, there's some people, some family and friends that are worried about Maribel, your roommate.
I'm also a friend, and I care about her very much. I've been here about 1.5 years with her. We had great time together. We went on a cruise together. I got to clubs, we were dancing, we party, big time.
According to Casey, when it became clear that something had happened to Maribel, he couldn't find peace, as she had become very important to him.
Now, weren't the police out to your house recently because you guys had an argument?
That was the Friday night argument. Okay, I'm gonna karaoke. So we had great time together. When she drinks, either she's gonna be super friendly or super aggressive. And she started yelling at me. I don't like you. I'm not attracted to you. She started screaming and yelling. I said, Maribel, we had a great time tonight. What's the problem? She started saying, I have a gun. My bullet is faster than you. I said, whoa. Maribel, she went out for the police. A police officer came in after the police officer. I said, did she say she got a weapon, gun? He said, yeah. Police officer said, just when you go to bed tonight, you lock the door. Keep the phone next to you. Something happens, you call us.
When was the last time you guys had any sort of an argument?
Actually, that Thursday.
This Thursday? Yesterday?
Yeah, because about the rent.
Well, how bad did the argument get?
Nothing bad. She talked to Paul and put Paul on a speakerphone. He said, Paul is my man, he's my boyfriend. I've been dating him since January or so he wants to move out.
He suggested that detectives might want to look a little closer at Paul, at least because Paul had openly threatened him.
So the last time you saw her was somewhere around between 9 and 10?
Well, around 9 o'clock.
And then that's when you went for a drive?
Yeah. When I came back in, she was not here. So that's either Paul picked it up, some guy picked it up, somebody picked it up because I saw her car was still there.
Later, police noticed something unusual about his appearance. Casey was wearing a t-shirt, which clearly revealed large scratches on his arms. They appeared relatively fresh.
We go to Eisenhower Park all the time. If you go there, bushes, those are sharp-lipped bushes. We try to reach in there, grab the fishing line.
Casey Joy explained that the scratches had come from ducks entangled in fishing lines. He said he had tried to free them, and in the process, thorns from nearby bushes had scratched his arms. The officers remained skeptical of his explanation and arranged to meet him at a park so he could show them the spot in question.
Oh, they're all up there right now. At least 2-3 ducks with a fishing line on there.
Right.
Wrapped around it.
There's one right there.
When they arrived, there were indeed a few ducks swimming around with remnants of fishing lines on their feet.
What were you doing when you got the scratches?
I was in a flip-flop.
And you fell down onto your knees and into the plant.
Yeah, somewhere there.
And then you just got back up.
Casey's story seemed plausible, and at that stage, there was nothing for investigators to suspect. After several days of investigation with no significant leads, the case hit a dead end. As more time passed, the chances of finding Maribel alive and unharmed grew slimmer. In an effort to move the investigation forward, detectives decided to bring in forensic experts for a thorough examination of the home where Maribel had lived. They hoped that modern technology might reveal what the human eye could not. Experts collected all possible DNA samples and fingerprints, while Casey cooperated fully, assisting in every way. He also allowed the police to search the vehicle he had rented from a local rental company without objection. For a more detailed search, officers even used a specially trained dog to detect human remains, but fortunately, or unfortunately, it found nothing. The only significant discovery was the top of Maribel's pajamas, which bore clear traces of blood. Tests confirmed that the blood belonged solely to Maribel and to no one else, but no one could determine how it got there, adding yet another layer of frustration. Investigators had hoped for a breakthrough, a piece of evidence that might finally propel the case forward. Instead, they were left with another dead end.
Roommate of a missing Cal State Fullerton student is now speaking out about her disappearance. Maribel Ramos has been missing since last Thursday.
She's my only family I have. She's my best friend, and I need her to come back, that's all.
Once news of the case spread, local media quickly picked up the story.
Unusual thing was being next day, Friday morning, she was not here. That's unusual. That's when I called the police.
Casey did not refuse any interviews, speaking freely with anyone who asked.
And voluntarily, they want a DNA sample. They took a picture of my body. They will search the house without a search warrant. I'll give them a permission to do it. Go ahead, go forward.
His behavior raised suspicions with the police. At the time, his relationship with Maribel had become tense, and his very public display of affection made investigators think he knew more than he was letting on. However, law enforcement had nothing concrete linking him to Maribel's disappearance. For that reason, detectives decided to put him under surveillance, hoping that at some point he might slip up and inadvertently lead them to the truth. Casey had to go to the library for internet access since he had given his phone and laptop to the police. To monitor what he was doing there, detectives requested footage from the library's internal security cameras. The footage showed him entering the library, a backpack slung over his shoulders. He approached the librarian, who issued him a computer for use. There was nothing unusual in the recording. He behaved completely normally. He then walked to the far end of the room. The library cameras were of poor quality, so investigators couldn't zoom in enough to see exactly what he was doing or what information he was accessing. After roughly 2 hours, Casey left the building. Detectives then tried to check his browser history, suspecting that he might have been trying to cover his tracks. But every time a patron finished using a computer, the librarian ran a special program that erased all data, including search queries. Once again, the police were left with nothing. By this point, 11 days had passed since Maribel Ramos disappeared. During that time, her family worked tirelessly to keep her story in the public eye.
Ramos never showed up to work Monday. Meanwhile, Ramos's family and friends simply don't know what happened to her.
Cal State Fullerton student Maribel Ramos has been missing since last Thursday.
We really need everyone's help, please. We need to find Maribel.
Before this case, Orange County was considered one of the safest areas in the country, with no serious crimes. So when the public heard about the tragedy that struck an innocent young woman, a military veteran who had spent years defending them, it captured everyone's attention.
There were cousins of Ramos who were here in the neighborhood canvassing, handing out these flyers.
She fought for us, our family, our country.
Maribel's relatives, along with local residents, organized searches in Peters Canyon Regional Park, her favorite spot. Many hoped that this might be the place where she would finally be found. Meanwhile, an unexpected call came into the police station from a car rental company. The client? Casey Joy. It turned out that he had recently returned his rented vehicle and immediately taken another, a suspicious move that suggested he might be trying to hide something. Investigators tracked down the vehicle and once again deployed a specially trained dog. This time, the dog quickly reacted to a scent in the trunk. Although this evidence was not enough to charge Casey, detectives were encouraged, recognizing that they were moving in the right direction. From that moment on, the former roommate shot to the top of the list of suspects. While Casey kept going to the public library for internet access, detectives hatched a clever plan. They would monitor his activity without being inside the building and without relying on the library's cameras. All they needed was to issue him a specific computer with a special software installed. As expected, the investigators could now watch every search he typed in real time, tracking virtually every keystroke. He filled out job applications, browsed social media, and posted here and there. At one point, a page with Maribel's Facebook profile flashed across the screen, but nothing overtly incriminating appeared. Until suddenly, Casey typed a chilling query into the search bar. How long does it take for a human body to decay? Later, he saw on Facebook that Maribel's family was organizing a public hike to Peters Canyon. Suddenly, all of his actions froze. For a moment, he seemed lost in thought. After a short while, he found the exact address of the meeting spot, entered it into Google Maps, and zoomed in. He studied the point where everyone was supposed to gather, then located Majeska Canyon, about 8 to 10 miles from the meeting spot, and zoomed in again on an image showing a solitary, large tree. After that, Casey went into the browser history and deleted everything. The officers watched his every move and could hardly believe their eyes. Only one thought ran through their minds: had the killer just led them straight to his victim? Wasting no time, detectives immediately rushed to the location indicated by the suspect. There were no houses or hiking trails nearby, just complete isolation. They found the tree that Casey had studied so carefully, and nearby, they saw a mound surrounded by a barbed wire fence. As they moved closer, a pungent, unmistakable odor hit them: the smell of a decaying body. Looking around, the detectives discovered what appeared to be a shallow grave, with human remains buried under rocks. The victim had a distinctive tattoo, leaving the officers almost certain that the body before them was Maribel Ramos. Immediately after this discovery, investigators summoned Casey to the station.
Well, thanks for coming down here voluntarily. I really appreciate it.
Oh, if you're gonna get me right back to the library, then I'll have to walk.
Casey behaved with remarkable confidence, seemingly proud of how easily he had managed to outsmart the law and slip through unscathed. But at that moment, he didn't realize he had walked straight into a trap that would now cost him his life.
All these news people and about reports are focusing on me. I'm the only one on the news, so do they know something I don't know? They're always focusing on me. Coming to my house this morning. Today has been exactly 2 weeks, 14 days ago. I don't know, or they got some more information from police department, something I don't know. But you got some questions to ask, that's why they brought me here. Where do you think we should search? I don't know.
The man no longer looked like the pleasant, affable person he had seemed at first. He continued to resist and cling to his lies.
So are you implying Maribel is not gonna come home?
Wouldn't you know that?
No, that's I'm asking you. Obviously, you know more than I do. There's hoping she'll come back, but you are implied she's not coming home or something.
Investigators deliberately kept the discovery of the body a secret, hoping to give him one final chance to confess.
Casey, I think that you have the answers in your heart, that you do, and that you should share them.
Go. And unless you got, talk to him.
Just sit down for a little bit.
Okay.
Listen, he's your advocate.
Yes.
He's telling you.
First of all, if you want to go, you can go.
Okay, I'd like to go.
Casey stood up and walked toward the door. The detectives didn't intervene, because outside, patrol officers were waiting, and within seconds, handcuffs were snapped onto him. Forensic examination confirmed that the body found under the rocks was 36-year-old Maribel Ramos. Due to factors such as weather conditions, advanced decomposition, and the presence of various animals in the area, it was impossible to determine an exact cause of death. The most likely explanation appeared to be a strangulation, possibly with a pillow. Maribel's family was overcome with grief, unable to accept the reality. They had held on to hope that, somehow, she would return to them alive and unharmed. No one could believe that someone was capable of committing such a horrific act against their own loved one. The trial in the case of Maribel Ramos began in July 2014, with the prosecution presenting its version of the events. Maribel had genuinely enjoyed spending time with her neighbor, but he saw her as more than just a friend. At some point, he believed she had given him the green light. When she rejected him, something in his mind snapped. On top of that, he had lost his job and could no longer pay the rent, which completely destroyed their friendship. Police believe that the final conversation Maribel had with her boyfriend, Paul Lopez, was the trigger in this tragic story. Casey was enraged by Paul's threats, and in that moment, he decided that if he couldn't have Maribel, no one else would. When she went to bed, the neighbor entered her bedroom, pressed a pillow over her head, and held it there until she stopped breathing. He then placed her body in the trunk of his rented car and drove it to a remote, secluded location. Along the way, he had to climb through a barbed wire fence, which left the deep scratches that were later noticed on his arms. On the day the killer went to the library and learned about the upcoming hike to Peters Canyon, he decided to see whether the participants might accidentally stumble upon the body he had buried in Modjeska Canyon. Using the map, he convinced himself there was nothing to worry about, but in doing so, he unintentionally revealed the burial site to the police.
Ramos's family trying to hold back tears in the courtroom before the judge sentenced Joy to 15 years to life in prison.
The jury later found him guilty of second-degree unintentional assault, a rather strange verdict if you ask me. Casey Joy himself continues to insist to this day that the police arrested the wrong person.
Maybe someday a tree will come up. Maybe I'll just die inside of prison.